Hello, my name is Cynthia Metzier. I'm a professor and psychologist. And in today's video, I want to talk about the right to disconnect. What is the right to disconnect? It is a legislation that states that employees are allowed to disconnect from work outside of work hours. And the first country to actually adopt such a legislation was France in 2017. Now, in Canada, there were discussions about perhaps adopting some type of or similar law. It hasn't come to any conclusion at the moment, but there is one province in Canada that has decided to adopt such a legislation, and it's Ontario. So starting in 2022, Ontario was asking organizations that have more than 25 employees to have clear policies on employees' right to disconnect from work outside of regular work hours. Let's look at other countries who take very seriously the amount of work that employees are investing and the balance between work and personal life. And these two countries we're going to talk about also always score year after year as one of the happiest countries in the world. So the first one is Sweden. Sweden's prime minister a couple of years ago has talked about reducing the work week from 5 to 4 days and reducing the amount of hours that employees work in a day from 8 to 6 hours a day. In Sweden, work-life balance is extremely important, and people in those extra hours really make sure that they take care of themselves. The other country is Denmark. Denmark, again, one of the countries that always rates among the happiest countries in the world, has also apparently, according to statistics, the most productive employees in the world. And so how can Denmark have very productive employees when the max number of hours that they can work in a week is 37 hours? And in fact, if you go to Denmark at 4 o'clock, most parents will leave work to go get their kids, and at 5 o'clock, everybody leaves and work outside of those work hours. So working at night or on the weekend is not encouraged at all. And it's hard for us to understand that, because here in North America, we kind of have this correlation or that positive correlation, or so we think, between the number of hours worked and productivity. However, research has shown that it's not true. There's a certain amount of hours where you're productive, but past those hours, then you're just overworked and your brain is tired and you're losing a lot of that productivity. And the fact that you get tired during the first days of the week because you're overworked makes it so that you're not as productive for the rest of the week. Whereas people who work a reduced amount of hours are able to take care of their mental and physical health and do things that make them happy. And so when they are at work, their concentration is better, and they are more productive. What we also know is employees that have a better work-life balance are more satisfied with their work, more engaged in their work. They are more committed to their organization, so there's lower turnover, and these employees are just happier all around, which is probably what we want. We don't need a law to tell us that it is important to disconnect. I think organizations can add it to their policies. And I think that good organizations will also make sure that that it is known, and that from employees and managers, that employees and managers know that it is important to disconnect, and it is okay to disconnect, and it's actually expected of them to do so. So what organizations need to understand is that leaders or managers are actually role models, and it's very important for their mental health, but also as role model, it's important for them to be able to show that they are disconnecting at night, that they are disconnecting over the weekend. Because if they continue sending emails and requests for employees at night and on weekends, employees will have a very hard time understanding or believing that it is okay for them to disconnect. And we need to take care of employees, but we also need to take care of middle managers. We know that middle managers have been suffering from mental health issues, perhaps even more than other groups within different organizations. So we need to send out a clear message that employees and managers need to be able to disconnect. So what's your homework for this week? I would say that I would ask that you start disconnecting, reduce the amount of time that you look at your emails at night on weekends. So start by reducing every night and on weekends, and then just so that eventually you can eliminate it altogether and be able to function during regular work hours, whatever it looks like in your job. So that's very important. Reducing or changing a habit can be kind of difficult sometimes. So what I would encourage you to do is try to pursue new passions, new hobbies, so that these elements or these activities take over the time that you would be writing emails or doing just a little bit of work or working on a document so that you don't have to work on it on Monday morning. But making sure that you add those positive activities, and they don't have to be complicated. It can be cooking, taking up new passions. It could be singing, dancing, knitting, working wood. It could be sports, joining a sports team. But making sure that you are finding that balance between work and your personal life, because it is so important for your physical and mental health. So I hope that you've enjoyed my video. I will see you next week. Have a good week. Bye-bye.